Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies and welcome back to another Middle-earth Monday. It's been a couple of weeks since I've done a Middle-earth Monday, and that's mainly because we finished up the two series of videos that we had planned for that series of videos. So we did all of the Asciliad videos and we did all of the Pelennor Fields videos. They are all up on my channel now, and frankly I didn't really know where to go from here. The channel is not in a place where I can start the kind of fellowship video campaign that I want to do. That's going to take a little bit more time and planning, probably the use of an actual studio before I can actually start that, which is a bit disappointing, but needs must. So yeah, I was a couple of weeks trying to decide what to do, and then it struck me, maybe I should just do things in order. I remember the first epic scene that really grabbed my attention when I first got to see the Fellowship of the Ring in cinemas, and of course that is this. And I think you'll agree that that is one of the most amazing scenes in cinema history. And it made me instantly fall in love with those awesome elven miniatures. So that's what I'm going to paint up here today. They're actually the first box of miniatures that I ever purchased was a box of Last Alliance Elves. With the Numenorians, of course. No interest in the Numenorians at the time, but the Elves definitely were something that I wanted. So that's what I'm going to paint up here today. I haven't painted these models in 2 decades now at this stage, so I'm going to see if I can make them look a little better than the ones from my youth and show you guys an easy and effective way of getting them on the tabletop. Before I get into the video, I just want a huge thank you to all of my patrons. You guys are absolutely awesome, and without you guys I would not be able to continue doing what I am doing. You grow in numbers week to week, which is a very nice thing to feel and see on my channel. So once again, thank you guys so much. If you're interested in getting involved, and there are links to it below. You get access to a private Discord server where you can hang out with me on a daily basis and talk about your hobby, and access to an extra video every single week just for you guys. So I think that's a pretty cool reason to get involved. Okay, now let's get painting a high elf from Lord of the Rings. And I decided for this video to go with an infantry and an archer, so a swordsman and an archer for this video. I'm going to paint up both of them. Basically it's how I like to deploy them when I used to play with them, so I think it'd be really cool to see both of them painted up all nice and shiny and pristine as the high elves are supposed to be. I got the model sprayed black and dusted with Grey Seer like I normally do, and then it was on to the painting stage. So I started with the gold armor for these guys, as they are known for their pristine and glorious armor. Yeah, I thought I would start with that. So only the metallics, the gold and the silver parts are going to be normal paint. The rest will be contrast. And it really is quite refreshing painting Lord of the Rings. Sometimes you can have a couple of weeks where you're painting really complex, complicated miniatures that take a lot of time. And the end result of those models is always a lot of fun, and I'm really happy that I did them. But sometimes it is nice to break out a model that only needs kind of 4 paints as a base coat and a wash, and it's just really nice. So after I got the gold blocked in, I decided to move over to the blue, and for that I used Contrast Ultramarines Blue. It's a nice dark blue, but it's not too dark. I think it's a really nice base coat for these particular elves. These guys did not take a long time to paint. I think I could paint a warband of 12 of them in one kind of sitting of painting, and it wouldn't kind of stress you out too much, which is really nice to hear because I've got so many Lord of the Rings miniatures to paint, and it will be nice to start chipping away at that backlog at some point in the near future. I think doing it warband by warband, hero by hero is probably the way it's going to go. Especially with these kinds of videos, it's going to help immensely. I don't know about you guys, but I think the love that I have ingrained in me for The Lord of the Rings definitely comes from that opening scene I shared with you guys. When that just exploded onto screens, that first time I watched it, it was everything to me. I don't think it mattered kind of what else happened in the movie. I was like, this movie is epic, and that's why. Some Black Templar was then used for the ribbons, I guess, that go down the front, around the waist, and up along the shoulders. I think it's like a silk thing or a wraparound thing. This can change colors every now and again, depending on who you've seen paint them. But I like the black just to kind of help break up the golds and the blues. I think it works a treat. And it's already starting to look nice and neat and tidy. Some lead belcher was then brought in. There's not actually a lot of silver on show for these miniatures, so he's got a little bit of chainmail on show between his kind of arm greaves and his forearm greaves. So you want to get that done. And obviously for the swordsman, they have a sword blade. If there's an archer, there's nothing except for the chainmail. So this step, once again, is something that's quite quick. After that, we are going to move on to Gorgonta Fur, and this is what we're going to use for all of the wooden parts. So obviously the bow is going to get done with this color, and the handle of the Elven Blade will also get knocked in with the Gorgonta Fur. It's a really rich, nice brown. I didn't want to go wildwood. It's really kind of dead, dark brown. And I think elves are more about life. So I think they like to varnish their stuff and make sure even their wood is a pristine kind of work of art. Some Fire Slayer flesh was thrown over the skin, just as a simple and easy and effective way of getting a base coat on the skin before I shade the models. While I was painting, so for instance, the Gorgonta Fur I did for the quiver on his back, the arrows were done with the Black Templar, and the fleshes of the arrow are just going to get left the Grey Seer base coat before the shade. Nothing crazy. And this will work a treat for a base coat and a wash. And with that, we have both the models base coated fully. Already looking pretty swish, if I do say so myself. Next, we're going to add a Seraphim Sepia shade over the entire model. This will add just a little bit of depth to it. It'll really nicely shade up the gold, metallics, the brown. It's not the best choice for the blue, but it does still work a treat. And I'm all for one. I'm all for using one shade for an entire miniature, just to lock in the contrast, act as like a protective layer, and just kind of speeds up the process as well. And it's been working for me so far, so I'm going to continue doing it that way for as long as I can. While the miniature was drying with contrast, did add a bit of texture paste to the base. Fortunately, it wasn't fully dry by the time I got to the layering stage. I had to wait a little bit longer. But you will see at some stage, it'll just go from scene to scene and the bases will be finished. So the first thing I did was grab a little bit of lead belcher, and I basically just dry brushed that over all of the gold. It's just going to add a sharp, extra little highlight to the gold. And that's all I'm going to do. Like I said, these miniatures are quite simple. There's not a crazy amount of detail to them. And usually there's quite a lot of them to paint. So a quick technique like this works a treat for getting the gold looking to a stage that we're happy with. And because we're going to be layering up all the other bits, for instance, the blue with the Altiok blue here, it doesn't matter if the silver dry brush gets a little bit on the edges of the cloak or a little bit edges on the black. We're going to be touching over all of that anyway. So it's not going to make too much of an impact. With the layering stage like the Altiok blue, we do not want to hit the entire area. We want to leave the deep dark shades nice and dark. And any folds in the cloth dark as well. This will, add a nice bit of depth to the miniature and make the rest of it really pop. Altiok blue is not the strongest color, so I would say I would need probably 2 coats to get it nice and sharp like this. And as you can see, the base is now done as well, which really adds something to the model as well. Touch of Cadian flesh tone was then used to highlight the face. And the face on these guys are not fantastic, if I'm being honest with you. I wasn't impressed by I don't know whether there was a mold bubble or something in his right eye. His right eye just looked weird on the swordsman. So I just kind of played around with it and filled it in with the Cadian flesh. Corvus Black was then brought in to highlight the ribbon area. Like I said, making sure to cover up any of those bits that got hit with the silver. Obviously, this is right in the path of the gold, so this is the bit that's going to get hit with the silver the most. There is folds and is kind of darker areas on this that you could try and leave, but it's just so small and so fragile, and I didn't really have the time, so the Corvus Black was almost like a solid coat on it. Mournfang Brown was then used to layer up all of the wood bits or the dark brown bits. So the bow, the handle of the sword, the quiver on the arrows. And that's pretty much it. That brings painting these 2 beautiful elven models to a close. I love how they turned out. I'm super pleased with myself having finally finished off 2 of these models. Like I said, these were the first miniatures that I ever purchased so long ago. And now I finally have a scheme that's very quick, very achievable, and it's going to leave them looking fairly swish, if I do say so myself. So I'm really happy with this process, and I hope you guys are as well. Okay guys, and there we have it. I managed to paint up a elf with a elven sword and one of the archers as well, because every time I played with them there was always a line of swordsmen and a line of archers behind them that I could shoot through. It was very cool. It was very thematic, and it definitely felt like the movie did. So I painted up both of these guys. It was very quick, very efficient. I really enjoyed the process, and I can definitely see myself painting up a full elf army in the future and playing some games of Middle Earth. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think of my idea of just going chronologically kind of through the movie series. So I'll go scene by scene. Whenever it comes to a scene that needs some miniatures painted, I'm going to paint up those miniatures and then keep going from there. If there's anything you want kind of smattered in or you think I might miss out on, please let me know in the comments below so I can get them painted up for you guys as well. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already subscribed. It does make a huge difference. And yeah, thanks for sticking around to the very end. I'll see you in the next video.